Welcome back to the Herfador Lounge, where the smoke is rich and the conversation runs deep. Today, we're talking legacy, ambition, and bold beginnings with none other than Dwight Newton, I call him DJ, the founder of Mount Olympus Cigars, a rising brand that's bringing God-tier energy to the cigar world. DJ is not just rolling out cigars, he's rolling out a vision, one rooted in strength, elevated in purpose, and wrapped in the grind of entrepreneurship. In this episode, we'll unpack his journey, the meaning behind the name, and what it really takes to launch a brand that aims to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Titans. So spark up something special, settle in, and join us for a conversation that climbs all the way to the top. Welcome to Mount Olympus. DJ.
My man.
What's going on, man? What's going on?
Hey, man, another day on this God green earth.
I hear you, man. I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me today. Man, look, the name Mount Olympus, man, that holds some serious weight, man. Mount Olympus. So what inspired you to align your cigar brand with the realm of the gods?
In short, the Instagram handle actually came from a song by Big Crit.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I love that song.
So instead of using the U at the end, I used the I just to have some differences. Mm-hmm. And so when Orlando and I first got together and we started talking about me coming out with a business, I kind of just wanted to stick exactly with that. I think that already had a significant premise, being on the top, being on the mountain. So that's really where that started from.
Yeah, man, that's amazing to align to align it with being already at the top, like Mount Olympus. You can't get no higher than Mount Olympus, when it comes to, Greek gods and stuff. You can't get no higher than Mount Olympus, man. So what was the spark that led you to actually say, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and create this brand?
Jumping off that mountain. and with the help, with some helpful pushes from some great mentors. And they said, why not? Like, you've been, I've been smoking now for damn near 3 decades. So
that's a long time.
I was like, you know what? It's time.
Might as well put my stamp on it, right?
And like we kind of say, I think a lot of times it ain't nothing to it but to do it. And you have to break out of your comfort zone sometimes.
Oh yeah, man. You got to break out that comfort zone because nothing is in comfort but relaxation, and that ain't what you want right now. When you're trying to build something, you got to jump out that comfort zone, and like you said, jump off that mountain and build your plane on the way down. You figure it out as you go. So that man, 30 years is a long time to be smoking cigars. So before Mount Olympus Cigars, before Mount Olympus Instagram, man, who was DJ? What's the story behind the man that climbed the mountain?
Roughly, individual, born out of South Carolina and Alabama, roots in both places. Went to the military at a very young age, 26 years, retired. And that's what kind of, sparked my intro into the cigar world. Mm-hmm. Having my first cigar in Canada. And a nice little spot. Older mentor kind of introduced me to it. My first cigar was the Cuban Monte Cristo No. 2.
Oh wow! You started at the top. No wonder you went with Mount Olympus.
Yeah.
You started at the top.
So I started, with a loaded shotgun.
Right, man. Right, loaded with slugs. Loaded with slugs. That wasn't no regular. Wasn't no buckshot. Wasn't no double I. Wasn't no bird shot. That was slugs.
Nah, that it wasn't.
Yeah, man. You've had a lot of. So you've been chasing that same kind of feeling from that first one because a lot of people don't start at that high up.
Yeah, I've been chasing that bug for a long time.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Every now and then I feel like I'm there, but then
Then you realize, nah.
it gets a little higher, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
almost.
So what 30 years of smoking, man. What vibe are you looking for when you smoke? I mean, we know you're chasing that Monte Cristo #2, but what kind of vibe are you looking for when you actually enjoying a cigar?
I mean, me personally, this is my time to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be, life reflections, business, being a parent, things like that. And that's peace. I need some solitude to, let what has come into my mind unravel, so to speak.
Right.
So that way I can actually kind of look at it from a 10,000 view and be like, yeah, maybe I could have done that better. Maybe I should have moved in this direction. And sometimes it's just to, unwind and clear the chaos of the world sometimes.
Yeah, that's definitely it's definitely needed, man. That finding that peace and just sitting down. I know, like for me, cigars are like therapy, man. When I sit down, because it forces you to slow down, right? You can't cut it fast, you can't light it fast, you can't smoke it fast. So it forces you to slow down. So when I light up a cigar, when I decide to smoke a cigar, I gotta have time first. Then I really enjoy sitting most of the time by myself and just reflecting on things. Like you said, I could have done that better. I could have done this better. This is the way I need to move from now on. Coming up with ideas, writing them down. It's that therapy session for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So let's get back to your brand a little bit, man. So cigars are deeply tied to identity and culture, right? So how would you describe the soul of your brand and what does it represent to you?
I want to say, and sum it up in a couple of words: boldness, uniqueness, and has that bit of mystery behind it.
Yeah.
And I look at it because I don't think no one was thinking about the concept, and I say the concept, a true concept of a storytelling behind cigars, saying from start to finish of a brand.
Right.
And so I wanted to tell that story, more so to say, you know what, let's let the gods speak for themselves, but at the same time, I wanted them to represent us.
Yeah. Which is represented in the bands on your cigars.
Correct.
So first of all, if you've ever seen a Mount Olympus cigar, you ain't gonna be able to pronounce the name because he uses the Greek spelling of the word, so of the name. So you ain't gonna be able to pronounce it. But when you look at the design of the brands, it definitely reflects that. So talk a little bit about how you came up with that design for the band.
So the original two bands were done by a tattoo artist. Shout out to Limbs Inc. Get that art studio. He's down in South Carolina. So we came up with the original band, and so that was his true artwork. So you'll see that on the first Zeus and Aphrodite when they came out. And then second was last year during Tampa, and me and smoking artist, aka Lizzie, she sparked something. She shot it to me, and I was like you did this in like an hour, and so that's where the rebrand of Zeus, Aphrodite, and the rest remaining. And so I already had the images in mind, and I let her use her creative talent to actually put everything else on the band.
Yeah, she's an amazing artist, man. Amazing artist. Really amazing artist. And the bands really speak to everything that you said, with you wanted it to represent us. So you've got Black people. You wanted it to have this mystery. So it's kind of, the background is almost hard to see, but it's not really hard to see. It's definitely a band that you don't want to throw away, you know. And I love the way that they came out, man. And it's really impressive. It's really impressive. Little bit more about you, man. How has your personal background kind of influenced the way that you approach the cigar culture and branding of Mount Olympus Cigars?
It's crazy in a sense, because I will say up until the point where I met you and Ray, you and Yule on the lounge.
Uh-huh.
I had no idea, so to speak, about the other side of the culture.
Right.
You know, I was in my own little box. I'm usually not a lounge head. My perfect spot for me is to sit right here on my balcony, smoke. Occasionally I'll stop into a lounge, but it wasn't until, sitting down and talking with you guys and then understanding that, we got cigar weeks, we got festivals, we got this and we got that. And so me seeing that was like, because I'm an introvert by nature, so
I don't get it, but okay. I don't see that in you, but okay.
Usually crowds are not my thing. Occasionally, like, those close to me will know, like, nah, he's not. He's a clown. He wants to do X, Y, and Z. He cut a rug on the dance floor.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, let some house music come on. It's over.
Yeah, right. But even at the midst of all of that, it's all about the work. Like, for me, I've been, working even at an early age with my grandfather, being out in some fields, had a cutting grass business, being younger. And then I think a lot of stuff, discipline definitely hit me once I joined the military. Yeah. And so that, with the discipline, having a commitment to something else, that was bigger than me, kind of, I'm trying to root that within, the brand.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see that in the way that, you move when you're talking about your brand to people, when you're presenting your brand to people, not just talking about it, but when you're presenting your brand to people, because you can tell people about, I've got this brand and it's great. But when you present it, like a light comes on, you know what I'm saying? It's like you can be sitting there watching everybody. Okay, ain't no house music came on, so you're just chilling. But when it come time to talk about Mount Olympus Cigars, you turn into a whole nother person, and that's one of the things that I admire about you, man. When I watch you talk about your cigars, outside of having amazing cigars that don't last in my humidor. I'm being honest. They don't last, man. They do not last. I smoke them when I got them.
Right.
I smoke them when I got them.
And you know what? I appreciate that. And I'm usually kind of like the same way. You know what I'm saying? So even with like Orlando's, yourself, RS, Koshiba, Harvard Lions, like those are, I think I recently got a 5-pack from him, and I'm done.
He sponsored our Fanola Cigar Fest. He put some in the boxes, and I took a little off the top, and it didn't last long. So I took 2 off the top, and they was gone in 2 days.
But with anything that you enjoy, most of the time it doesn't last, because you want it right then. You want to have that enjoyment often. So
exactly.
That's why my humidor, I try to bring it down to a level, but sometimes I just keep filling back up. The same with my pantry.
We're not gonna talk about that pantry. You got about $7 million worth of whiskey and liquor in there, so we ain't gonna talk about that. I don't know how it lasts, because it don't last. My little shelf dwindles on a regular. Yeah, my little shelf dwindles on the regular. I got to keep adding because I'm gonna drink it. But being such a new brand, because you've been out for what, two years now?
So I started the business in February of 20 3, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, by proxy, yes, the business has been running for 2 years. I didn't have the first 2 cigars until January of 24.
Okay.
And so,
So
roughly, as far as the selling and promoting, it's been, close to, a year and a half.
how has the reception been for you?
It's been great. Like, word of mouth is everything. And I also get to see it when other people will shoot me a text or shoot me a DM. They mention me and on their social media. Like I had a friend of mine just the other day. He reached out and said, "Hey, he's in a picture with I'm assuming a couple, but I don't want to say that. But a man and a woman, and
right? You got to be careful."
And he says, "Hey, I got 2 more people that's interested in trying your smokes."
Yeah.
And so, like that right there goes a long way. And like I have to also give that huge shout out to probably one of the greatest supporters, if not the greatest one, which is James, aka Bruno.
Oh man, Bruno Lyons, James Mayday
is amazing.
Yeah.
And so just like from connection with him alone is how I ended up doing the podcast with Puff Sip and Chat.
Okay.
It was like that quick. He bought my cigar, gifted one to somebody. He smoked it, and Reggie.
Oh man, I gotta talk to him.
And Reggie was like, "Man, like, what is this?" And so, that's the guy right there. He's like, "What? He's here?" So, it's things like that make me feel real good about the direction that we're going.
Yeah, man, I see the trajectory, and man, you're gonna be big in no time. You're gonna be big in no time. I see the trajectory, and like you said, once you try one of your cigars, it's I need more. Like the first light, it's like I need more. So that's why I smoke them as soon as I get them. So speaking of word of mouth, man, has there been any like unexpected moments of support or criticism that has helped you shape the brand?
Yes and no. So like I'm always looking for like raw feedback. Like give me the do's, the don'ts, like, hey, this wasn't it for me. And
right.
And to be honest, it's like, all right. I think for most boutique brands, we can tweak our blends more so than the bigger companies,
right?
Because they're producing in such mass quantities where we're not. And
exactly.
So if somebody brings some negative feedback to me, I'm gonna have to take it 100%. I might have to sit back and say, all right, let me smoke X, Y, and Z 3 times, like 3 different days, see if I got the same effect. Maybe it was a bad roll, or and I don't want to chunk it up to them and say, hey, y'all just didn't smoke it on a clean palate. I have to do the due diligence, and so I take all of that feedback back to the factory.
Yeah.
I've only had one person come out basically and was like, hey, this one was a little bitter. And I was like, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you. But for the most part, it's not been any like negative things. I think the biggest thing that we looked at was for Hades and Hera, because they're a little bit more on the master side of the house, a lot more tobacco. We actually did samples of that one and actually sent it out to various people. It was like, hey, give me your feedback. And some of it was like, hey, this particular one, maybe started to unravel at this point, at this juncture. But for the most part, we got great feedback from both. And so everybody just looked at Hades and was like, I don't know why you decided that you wanted to make a cigar that was like a king size Snickers. And so I was like, hey, there are those that out there that want, a huge ring gauge and they want some power behind it. And not to say
Right.
that you can't have that from, a smaller Vitola or anything like that. It's just they want it to last longer.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the concept behind Hades and Hera.
So you've mentioned Zeus and Aphrodite. You've mentioned Hades and Hera. How many blends do you offer?
So currently on the website is 4. The ones you just mentioned is Zeus, Aphrodite, Ares, and Athena. All right. Hades and Hera, they are out of the aging room being prepped for shipping, and that'll be 2 of the newest ones. With those, if everything holds true to truth with the shipping, we'll introduce Poseidon and Hestia as well.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll have all 8 at Pensacola.
Oh, that sounds great, man. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna get down there. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm trying to figure it out. We'll see, but I'm definitely gonna get me some of all of them because I got to have them. I got to have them, man. So you're gonna have 8 cigars in your lineup, and every cigar tells a story when it's lit. What do you hope that people feel or experience the first time they light up a Mount Olympus cigar?
Hey man, it's like that first time you had like your favorite dessert. You just want to just block out all the noise that's in the room,
Right?
And just look at it and be like, God damn.
Exactly. You gotta
right.
Like that reaction. What is this?
Yeah. What is this?
What is this?
What is this?
I can get jiggy with these. What is this? Man, so that's great, man. But that's like the echelon, man. When you watch somebody light up one of your cigars for the first time and they make that Bill Cosby meme face when they hit it, and what is this?
Right.
So not in a bad way, obviously. When you see somebody and they get so surprised by something that they've never heard of, and then they want more, and they want to savor it, and then you see other people talking about it. That's an amazing feeling, man. I've had that feeling a few times.
Yes.
So it's an amazing feeling, man. It's an amazing feeling. So the cigar industry is saturated with cigars. A lot of them have gimmicks. Some of them are just good cigars without the gimmick. What makes Mount Olympus stand out beyond the blend?
What makes it stand out for me is the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that alone, I think, has been like the big driving factor behind.
Yeah.
And I do understand, like, a lot of people look at the bands, they're catchy, throws them off, obviously, because as you say, they can't pronounce it or they don't what it is. Like, hey,
we don't speak Greek. What is this?
And so, like, I even look at it and I didn't think about it initially, but I thought about it like in recent months, like it'd be the perfect thing for a lot of frats and sororities,
Yeah.
Since a lot of things are behind them are Greek.
Right.
And so the consumer, like I said, has been number one. They've actually been the ones pushing brands. So it's like, ended up talking with like Tats and Ash. She just reposted, smoking Aphrodite sticks and sticks out there, in the Chi-Town area.
Yeah,
he's already hit me up to say, hey, he wants to try to, carry a couple in there. Him and his people, did a repost of, Zeus and Aphrodite. And I think that just the list goes on between big name. I say big names in the industry when I think about like, Maduro Melly, Miss Juju, Bruno. Then you look at like Moments with Michelle. There's a lot of people that like, oh, well, let me get my purchase.
Right.
Let me try this out. And then I think once that happens, it's kind of like you said, it's, hey, I need another 2.
Yeah.
5. And one of the other, individuals that I think I owe a lot of credit to as well. 2 of them, in fact, would be like Brother Skuro and Zeta. So they both had basically made music to inspire the line, and so I'm extremely grateful, and humble for those individuals that actually take that kind of time to say, hey, let me create something.
Yeah.
For this cigar brand.
I've heard Zeta's music. I haven't heard what Brother Oscuro did. Send that to me.
Right.
Send that to me. It sounds like, man, community is huge in
Yes.
growing your brand, man.
It's been great. It's been great. Like all through and through. I even had Pensacola Cigar Weekend. They actually created a reel for me, and so I was like, wow, okay. And like I said, that's the thing for me, where individuals feel that, hey, we want to see the brother succeed in everything. So hey, let me do this for him. And like I said, it's been great.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That community is huge, especially for a new brand. So you're available in some lounges, man. So talk about the process of getting lounges to carry your blends. Like, did you find it easy, or was it tough being a newer brand?
Most of the time it's difficult. You know what I'm saying? I watched your interview that you did with JLW, and she has it, I think, right on the mark, where you have to get out here and hustle. And sometimes that's hard for individual that has a solid 9 to 5, and they do a lot of traveling. So like when I was up north for a project up in Maine, like I brought, I don't know, 300 cigars with me. And it was a good thing because I still had orders that were being filled while I was, away from my home state, and talking to some of the individuals there. And so, I had them in a lounge in South Carolina, Status Quo. I don't think that lounge is no longer existing because they just didn't want to open their doors all the time.
Wow.
So like they were taking like little vacations and things like that, and
had them barbecue spot hours.
right. They were.
Man, that's not the way to do business, especially in the cigar lounge. When I need my smokes, I need my smokes.
So definitely the hustle and get out there is the way you have to kind of do that. I think the other concept, I think, like you mentioned on the other one, is being able to do a cut and light. And so sometimes trying to set that stuff up is just, with scheduling and everything else, because it's like, oh yeah, we can do this cut and light this time. Yeah, I'm gonna be away for 2 months.
Yeah. That's a DJ problem though. You be traveling.
Right.
You be traveling. Right. Man, you be traveling. But I like I mentioned when I was talking to Vicky with JLW, man, I was saying it's like the cut and light to me should be before you carry my cigars, right? That way I can build the demand. Right. I can build a customer base in your lounge already. So when they see my cigars in your lounge, now they're like, okay, I know what that is. Right. As opposed to seeing something new and going straight for what they always go to. Because a lot of times people walk in the lounges and they go right to where they normally go. I mean, when I walk into a new lounge or a cigar place that I haven't been before, I'm going all over the place. I'm looking to see everything that they got. Even the lounges that I frequent, I ask, you got something new? What's new? I want to try new things. I want to smoke all of the cigars and try them all. So, and another thing that does is when you have that demand, you can get better shelf space, better shelf placement, as opposed to being on the bottom in the corner, where nobody looks.
Tucked away with the asses and stuff.
Yeah. Tucked away with the asses that are going to sit there forever. Yeah. The cigars with dust on them. Yeah. So you've moved from smoking cigars to kind of behind the scenes of the cigar industry. What's one thing that surprised you once you got behind the scenes?
It's high school nature.
Oh, speak on it, brother.
It's high school nature. It's like as big as this community is, and I don't want to say I can say for sure, but I don't sit there and think that Rocky Patel and Davidoff and Fuente be like, oh, here they go again, trying to move in on my space.
Right.
And I understand that as they all too started out as a boutique brand.
Yeah.
And back in the day, and now they're they're conglomerates, they're giants.
Right.
And there's no reason why we can't do the same thing. But it's like, you watch how people move there in certain cliques. Like they only want to hang around their people. They don't want to maneuver outside of their box, so to speak. And so it's a lot of trash talking for no reason.
Yeah.
Especially it's like, okay, you are speaking about a brand, not the individual, because how can you speak on the individual you don't even know him?
Exactly.
So
exactly. And that's a problem, man. We gotta get away from that, man. Because like you said, the conglomerates don't do that at all. It's all the smaller brands, the boutique brands who act as if we both can't exist in the same humidor. Like, look, there's enough smoke, there's enough butane and flames and matches for all of our cigars.
There is enough smoke, and trust me, with the amount of boutique brands, even with the big name companies, like I personally would prefer to smoke a boutique brand. I do have those, ones I have, little go-tos outside the boutique brand that are the major conglomerates, but for the most part, nah. And I actually have a harder time sometimes even going back to the major conglomerate, cigars, because it's like but it's not to judge, but you judge, because I've smoked mine and I'd be like, I want to just smoke mine.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
And I go smoke something else, and then I'll be like, that ain't right.
You ain't with mine. I'm just putting it out there,
I'll go back to
start to compare. Yeah, you start to compare to your own, because you put in so much work to get it, and now you know that some of the major brands don't have to put that work in. They can just say, well, put this together and throw it out there. People will buy it.
Yeah,
and people buy it because of the name is on it,
Like I remember one conversation where, I'm not even gonna put the cigar out there, but it was a pricey smoke, and the individual came back to me and was like, it wasn't worth it. Like it wasn't worth it at all, and they paid like $60 for that smoke.
I can already say it ain't worth it for $60. I can already say it. I don't know what possessed you to charge $60 for it. I mean, I can being now behind the scenes, myself, I can see where you can find $60 to charge for a cigar, or you can find where the price point for you selling to a lounge is high enough for them to sell it for $60.
Right.
I can see that. You know what's in it. You know what it took to make it. You know where the tobacco has come from. You know how long the tobacco's been aged. Those different things. But it's definitely disappointing when you spend that type of money for a cigar, and it's not the most delicious cigar you've ever had.
Yes.
You know, for me, anytime I'm gonna spend over $20, it's got to be the most delicious cigar I've ever had. Whatever it is, whatever the price point is, above 20, it's got to be the most delicious cigar I've ever had,
and
or at least the most delicious cigar I've had this month.
And I'm like that with my spirits too. I'll go into a lot of whiskey bourbon bars and be like, you know what? Let me try this. And I try, and I was like, the fuck did you just serve me? Like, this tastes like straight ass. And I was like, why would y'all even have this on the shelf? And so me and one of the bartenders got into the discussion, and he was like, oh, you drink a lot of Macallan and Glenlivet, Glenfiddich. And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I should not have recommended that to you.
Right.
Like, it was gonna,
because you don't know.
He's like, you're gonna find that disappointing immediately. And I did.
So that's a shame when you spend that high dollar. And the thing is, it shouldn't matter.
That's why I buy the drink first.
It shouldn't matter whether I drink Glenlivet and or anything. If the price point is that high, it's got to be a reason. It's got to be a reason.
In some cases.
I mean, but if you're gonna set the price point that high, make it a reason.
Right.
Make sure it's a good product.
But
I can taste it and be like, yeah, it's worth that.
A lot of times they do that though, and I don't want to say cigars are becoming into that same program. It's like allocated bourbons and whiskeys.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's only that price because it's supply and demand. And they can afford to hike up the price. Like I think somebody was referring to a bottle of Blanton's.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, I can't get this for under $200. And I was like, shit, it won't be my money. because I already know it said where that price point should be.
Right.
Like it shouldn't be no higher than $70, period.
And you can't, and a lot of places you can't find it for no less than 200.
Right.
Like because it's been talked up and the demand is high, you know.
Right. You know, Class Azul used to be the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could, get their Blanco for like $100. You could get their Reposado for like $120. Now, $179, $200. You know, we tend to drive the market.
Definitely.
And certain things.
We definitely drive the market.
It's got to be in videos. It's got to be at the cookouts. Hey, what you drinking, man? You know, I only drink this top shelf, and there it is.
Then the price goes, oh, okay. Rapper talked about it. Jack the price up a little bit, because y'all gonna buy it as soon as they talk about it. So, all right, fantasy time. You get to smoke your cigar with anyone, dead, alive, or fictional. Who is it, and what are y'all talking about?
Ooh. The craziest part is they may not even smoke a cigar, but my person of interest that I would probably want to smoke with would be Maya Angelou.
Ooh, I mean, I doubt that Maya Angelou smokes cigars. I don't think she smokes cigars, but what's the conversation?
Life. Humanities, art, like all of that. And I say that because she actually taught. I took a class by her in humanities through the arts.
Oh wow!
And it was so, I guess, amazing as we're going through these lectures and everything, and I'm learning about these places, and then all of a sudden I'm traveling and I'm going to these places to see like the Louvre, the Sistine Chapel, the Thinking Man, and it just was a newfound like reinforcement, so to speak, of being able to see the different sides of many cultures that I've been blessed to be around.
Yeah, that's an amazing answer, and I would love to sit down and have a conversation with Maya Angelou. Hopefully the smoke didn't bother, but I would love to sit down and have a conversation with her, man. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. So we got rapid fire questions now. Rapid fire questions. Rapper of choice: Maduro, Connecticut, or Habano?
Maduro.
Maduro. Smoke solo or with the crew?
Solo.
Bourbon, rum, or coffee with your cigar?
Bourbon.
Greek god you most likely smoke with?
Say that again?
Greek god you most likely smoke with?
Poseidon.
Why Poseidon?
I spend a lot of time on the water.
You spend a lot of time underwater.
Well, that too. So, and I think the reason I chose him would be because of the various complexities that water itself offers. And I don't think people look at it enough in that manner. Like water at its best resting piece is glass. Like it's offers great reflection, peace, solitude. Like you can see the goddamn moon illuminating on it.
Yeah.
The twinkles and everything from the sunshine. But then you also notice those when that wind picks up, you start to see the white caps. You're like, okay, that's a little turbulence. And then we go into thinking about typhoons, tsunamis, hurricanes, and its actual destructive nature that it can be in. So it's all of that lumped up into one.
Oh man, that's a great answer. I know it's supposed to be rapid fire, but I wanted you to go a little bit more into that. So back to rapid fire. Biggest pet peeve in a cigar lounge?
Loud talkers.
I feel that. Go-to song when you're in your zone?
Go-to song when I'm in my zone, man. It's you know what? It's so many of them, but there's one obviously Mount Olympus from Big Crit, but there's also there's two other songs that I like from him that put me in the zone, and that's The Vent, and the other one I think is Drinking Sessions.
Oh, love those songs. If cigars were banned tomorrow, what would you do instead?
Move to a place where I can roll my own slips.
I mean, I ain't living without no cigars. One word that describes Mount Olympus Cigars.
Ooh, one word. I don't know. I think I would like to say, honest.
I like that.
I know there are other people that would probably be like, hey, quiet, charismatic, silly, he has just, I think it's so many, but I would rather just be honest with people.
Right. I like that, man. I like that. So you've been building this brand for a while, for 2 years, and actually selling the smokes for a year and a half, a little bit more. So talk about some of the sacrifices that you've had to make and the obstacles that you faced in pursuit of starting Mount Olympus Cigars.
I think with any entrepreneurship, you're immediately going to, unless you've kind of prepared ahead of time, you're going to have a financial sacrifice.
Yeah.
Period. Point blank.
Yeah.
Your other sacrifice, I think that comes with that is time.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only are you dedicating time to a 9-to-5, you still have to carve out that time for your business, for your brand, to sit down on days that, you know what, I'm tired, I don't feel like doing shit. But you still got to find that time to say, you know what, I need to work on a blend.
Right.
I need to go to this cigar lounge. I need to, you know, contact this person and have this conversation with them to say, hey, this is how I think we need to move.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other major sacrifices is people.
Yeah.
Some people can't be on this journey.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, right, wrong, or indifferent. A lot of times being an entrepreneur will test boundaries of many relationships, and not just, you know, between man and woman, but amongst friends, amongst associates. You know, you'll start to see where, you know, people will support you or they won't, or
Right.
they'll you know, give you some shade. I think that's probably the harder sacrifice I think I have, you know what I'm saying, is, you know, turning people away.
Yeah.
To be like,
Yeah.
hey, I don't want that energy nowhere near my cigars at all.
Right.
I want, when people smoke these, I need a positive vibe from them, and you don't offer me that, you know.
Yeah.
And it was good, you know, while it lasted, and time for us to go our separate ways.
Most definitely. Most definitely. How do you deal with those types of sacrifices? How do you overcome them?
Most of the time, work harder. Like, you know, time management for me has always been a thing. You know, like, you know, my sister and my brothers would say, man, you can multitask your ass off. I said, but in a sense, you know, you don't want to always have to be able to, you know, fortitude that.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times I work well under pressure, but nobody wants to be pressured all the time either.
Exactly.
So you have to find that balance. And so, like, yeah, I pushed through some envelopes and been like, all right, well, you know what, I need to work, you know, 40 hours of overtime, you know, 60 hours of OT, you know what I'm saying, because I need to recoup some of that financial, you know, perspective to put back in my pocket, you know, because I got some other things planned. Or, hey, I need to do this because I need to take the time away from it because I need my brain to rest.
Right.
You know, I need to, you know, for those that do support me, that does understand the vision, I need to spend time with them.
Right. Right.
It's like one of my close friends here never smoked a cigar in his life till he smoked a Mount Olympus cigar, and he was like, he's like, you know what? He's like, I kind of see why you do this. I think I could get into this, and I was like, yeah, but your wife's not gonna let you. Not gonna let you. So it's that, man. It's a lot of times you got to power through some stuff, and you know, I said, let's be honest. Like, you got to have a lot of tenacity in the business. You have to, because there's some people, there's some, you know, obstructions that's gonna be put in your way.
Yeah.
And either you're gonna go around it, or you're gonna stop and turn back around, or fuck that. I'm gonna find the biggest sledgehammer I can and knock that wall
Go through
down.
it. Yeah. Bust
So
right on through it.
You gotta have a tough skin doing business.
Yeah, definitely. Was there ever a time you wanted to quit?
That there probably was a time, but I didn't even start yet. I hadn't even started. And I was just like, man, I don't know about this, OG. Like, are you telling me the truth? Like, you know, that, like, there's just a lot of things. I think when you take that leap into entrepreneurship, there's always the unknowns. There's the what ifs that you can't answer right away.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's, if you surround yourself with those with higher business perspectives than your own, I would say they can navigate you because they've already gone through the process. They've already, man, I fucked that up. This is what you don't do. And I'll be like, he fucked this up.
This what I don't do.
and you gotta put a star, you gotta put an asterisk, you gotta highlight it, and then, hey, I did this. It worked out great for me. And I might put a side little arrow, be like, that worked well for him. And I put in a little caption, that might not work so well for you.
Right.
Because I also have to look at it. People's personalities are very different. So yeah, I might, be able to sit here and talk about my cigars all day. You know what I'm saying? However, it might be a place, it might be a setting, it might be a time where I'm just like, I don't want it. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, leave me alone.
Makes sense. Not all money is good money. Not all money is good money, man. So what's been the best part of your journey?
The best part of the journey actually is watching, like being able to watch and let it kind of unfold in, like, it's like watching a movie that you've never seen for the first time, and you're just like, oh shit, like, did that really just happen? Like, it's spooky, it's scary, you know what I'm saying? You get some tear-eyed moments, you get that love, and you be like, man, but the movie's still going.
Right. It ain't done yet. The credits ain't rolled yet.
The credits ain't rolled yet. And you just watching shit unravel. It's like you see the pitfalls, and that sinusoidal wave is going all across the screen, and it's so many different actors because they're all on social media. They're all lighting up the stick, and a lot of these great people I got to meet in person. You know what I'm saying? Despite the jokes about Mount Olympus standing up and the lights go out.
Yeah, because you're 8 feet tall. Anyway, what are two of your most important principles?
Say what you mean what you say.
I like that.
And I think that's where I talk about the honesty part. Like, like, if you're gonna tell me something, like, be honest with yourself and me at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't blow smoke up my ass. Like, say what you mean. Mean what you say. Like, if you tell me something, whether it's hey, this is what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hold you to that. I look at it as a character. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think a lot of times when we talk, my word is all I have. You know what I'm saying? So if I, anybody comes to me with an issue or problem, and I'm telling them, hey, this is what it is, then I need to ensure that I stand by everything I say.
Right.
Whether that's my product, or I need to tweak some things, or if I got a friend that's in need and they need my help or whatnot, if I say I'm gonna be there, then I'm gonna be there.
Exactly. I like that. I love that. Great principle. All right, so we got to finish the sentence section. Finish the sentence. All right, you ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right, the first time I held my own cigar in my hand, I felt
relief.
Love that. Starting a cigar brand taught me that
don't believe everything you hear.
Ooh. When I'm in the zone, you'll always catch me
smoking a Mount Olympus cigar.
I like that. A good cigar is more than tobacco. It's
a lifestyle.
I like that. I like that. The moment I knew Mount Olympus was real was when
is when I opened my first box of cigars. January 15th, 2024.
Got the date and everything. I love that. That means it was an important date.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. If I could change one thing about the cigar industry, it would be
that's a loaded question.
That's why I wrote it.
I think if I could change anything, like, hey, to honestly give those brand owners a shot. Like, don't just necessarily go by what you hear from other people.
Yeah.
Because you might have smoked the same things that they smoke, or you might have not smoked that cigar at all, but you're already prejudging it because somebody else.
Exactly. You can't. Everybody's palate is different. Go on and try it for yourself.
Yep.
Try it out for yourself. All right. Legacy means to me
generations.
Love that. Love that. People don't know this, but I actually
write poetry.
Dang, I didn't even know that. Okay. One day I want Mount Olympus Cigars to be remembered for
quality.
Love that, which it definitely is. Every time I light up, I'm reminded that
there are better days ahead.
That is an amazing answer, because there are always better days ahead. What they say, trouble don't last always.
Nope, and don't. The sun will rise again.
Definitely. So where can people find your cigars?
Hey man, they can find the link in my bio on Instagram, or as I could tell them right now, www.mountaintopcigars.com.
www.mountaintopcigars.com. What's next for Mount Olympus Cigars?
What's next, which is not far from the horizon, is Pensacola Cigar Weekend. I'll be down there with Hayes Gray, Sassy Soul, Big Country, Dock City Lane. I want to say we got Kenny Anderson is going to be in the building. It's going to be a great time. But I mean, outside of that, it's making some new blends. We still got to look at the twin guys, Artemis and Apollo. They will definitely be a bit different from these ones, because they'll actually be 50 by 50s. But they have their own little uniqueness to them. And then we're probably going to look at closing out the entire line. Well, I say that closing out, but it'll be a 13th. The last two of the gods themselves will be for those that want to smoke on the go a lot. So I think we're going to look at some Lanceros for the last two.
Okay. I like that. A lot of different Vitolas. What advice would you give to anyone that's starting or thinking about starting their own cigar brand?
Talk to somebody that has already been established. And I don't mean like don't come talk to me. But no, I take that back. I said you need to talk to someone that's been in the business for a while. I'd say 10 years at least, and then talk to that new boutique brand that's probably been out less than 3 years. Talk to them. You'll see the kind of the fruits of your labor, and then you're going to see where you have to start. And then everything else in between really is up to you. You know what I'm saying? Right. And how you market, brand, and how you get out there and hustle.
I love that, man. That's what's up. That's what's up. DJ, my brother, I appreciate you. Thank you for accepting this invitation, spending some time with me in the Herfador Lounge, man. I appreciate it. I got to give me some more of them sticks.
No doubt. No doubt. I'm saying cheers and thank you for having me.
And there it is, another session in the books. A big thank you to my guest, Dwight Newton. Again, I call him DJ, owner of Mount Olympus Cigars, for pulling up and blessing the Herfador with some real talk, some fire insights, and of course, some smoke. If you're feeling what he's building, make sure to check out his brand. Links will be in the description. Also, mountaintopcigars.com, and check him out on Instagram at Mount Olympus. Support small, smoke smart, stay curious, and as always, thank you for herfing with the Herfador Lounge. I'm your host, Ray True Life. Until next time, keep the fire lit, the smoke rolling, and the vision loud.